I'm Jay Schwanke, a fourth-generation florist. I come from a long line of flower folks. My family has been growing, arranging, and selling flowers since the 1800s. Now I'm on a mission to share my knowledge and love of flowers with everyone I meet. People tell me I make flower arranging look easy. I'll let you in on a secret. It is easy, and it's a whole lot of fun. I love everything about flowers. Growing flowers, choosing flowers, designing flowers. As long as there are flowers, I'll be there. Flowers make people smile. Flowers make everyone happy. It's a fact. Flowers make us feel good. And make no mistake, it's definitely all about the flowers. Welcome to Fun with Flowers and Jay. For about 10 years now, I've been giving flower demonstrations to one of the longest standing Beta Sigma Phi sororities in the United States. It's a great little group of ladies, and it started off as presentations where I would create flowers and tell a few stories. Over the years, it's turned into an annual event where the ladies bring in cherished containers and I fill them with flowers. It's something that they look forward to all year long, and I have to admit, I look forward to it too. The great part about it is that it's not just about the flowers. It's about the cherished memories and the friendships and bringing that all together with the positive effects that flowers have. Let's talk a little bit about the Beta Sigma Phi sorority. It's a social sorority, not a college sorority. And these ladies have been friends for over 60 years. The way I understand it, the sorority started back after the war, and it was a way for ladies to get together to socialize. And these ladies took advantage of it. And they've become super friends. Their husbands and them get together for parties, and once a month they have sorority meetings. The national symbol for the Beta Sigma Phi sorority is the yellow rose. And these ladies love their yellow roses. So it's evolved. Over the years, I used to do these little flower demonstrations, but then I started theming them to yellow and bringing in a few other colors that would help spark it up. But the yellow roses are so important. And the friendships these ladies have created over the years transcend space and time. And the containers hold memories as well as flowers. So we're at Gracewell Country Club, and
Yes.
that's your country club. So
Yes.
it's your house we're in today.
That's it. This is it.
And this is where we usually have our meeting with the
Yes,
flowers.
it's an ideal spot for us.
Virginia, when and why did you join Beta Sigma Phi?
Well, my friend was a member of Beta Sigma Phi, and she thought that I would enjoy the fellowship with the women, which I do very much, and that's why. And it was at a kind of a down time in my life, so it was a good beginning. And we are all so close. And if you have a problem, you could go to any one of them, and they'd be there for you, and you would be the same way for them. And it just is, we're very, very close, and it's wonderful.
What's your first memory of flowers?
Well, my mother had a nice garden, and she had the lilies of the valleys and the lilacs and the peonies and tulips, and was always picking bouquets, pansies and violets, and it was growing up with them. If my ship would ever come in, I'd have live flowers in my house all the time, but it hasn't come in yet, so.
So tell me about the container you brought today.
Well, this container came from Sweden. We had Swedish exchange students lived with us when our boys were growing up. They have quite a industry in Sweden of glass containers, and so he brought this to us, and I use it for flowers and for other things, and keeps me in touch with my other son, Lars.
There's something else. When it's summertime, we got fireflies. That's good. Okay, Teresa, so when and why did you join Beta Sigma Phi?
I was working at the bank, and I waited on one of the ladies, and she and I became very good friends, and she was the one that brought me into Beta Sigma Phi. And after that, we've still stayed friends all these years. In fact, we ate lunch together for over 30 years after I joined.
So tell me about the container you brought today.
I grew up in southern Ohio, and I was only about 20 miles from Fenton Art Glass. I have spent many, many hours going through Fenton Art Glass over there, and I have a lot of Fenton. In the early years, you could just go through all the factory anytime you wanted to, and you watched them make them, and you just walked out and bought them then. It was close to home, and people, whenever they came to visit, that was a place you took them, the Fenton factory, you know, so.
I brought one orchid that wasn't yellow, because I knew you would bring a vase that wasn't clear. So, I know. And this is a Vanda orchid. It also came from Thailand. Because the curves of her vase are so awesome. And so you can lay that there, you can bring him over here and lay him in that area. This is a spray rose. The thing I love about spray roses is the fact that so many multiple flowers grow on a stem. And so with that, we've got several different, opening stages so that you got little buds, you got bigger blossoms as well. And so they all look great together. I love that you matched your vase today too. That was good that you dressed to match. Another great thing about the sorority meetings is I've made friends with these ladies over the years, and I've got to know them pretty well. Take Mary McCallum, for example. That day it was raining and she wore a rain hat so she wouldn't get her hair messed up. The other thing I also know about Mary is that she loves jewelry. So I placed that in the back of my mind so that when we got to the sorority meeting, I'd have flower jewelry for her. And you know what? It was a huge hit with everyone. I know that you also like jewelry. So I brought you a necklace too, and it matches your outfit. But I thought of that, when I saw the jewelry, I thought, oh, that would be awesome for Mary because she loves jewelry. So you're probably wondering how I got into this whole thing. Well, one of the sorority ladies happens to be my mother-in-law. And we have a really close relationship. We live in the same town, we eat dinner together every week, and I love to surround her with flowers. I'm the flower guy, and she's the best mother-in-law in the whole world. So I bring her flowers a lot, and we talk about flowers all the time. I love visiting with her about it. So how long have you two known each other?
Well, we met in 1953. Lorraine worked for a dentist I was going to, and that's how we met.
So you've been friends for a long time.
Yep.
How did you get into Beta Sigma Phi? The sorority.
I was asked in, there's a younger group called Nu Phi Mu, which I joined in 1949. And then in 1953, I went into the Beta Sigma Phi chapter. That's how I was asked in. You're always asked in by someone who is a member.
So it's an invitation.
Invitation, yeah.
And Lorraine, how about you?
Well, I was invited, but it was 1983 when I joined. And of course, I joined with two other ladies, and they're still in the sorority. And I joined because of the friendships that I had already in the sorority. And I just wanted to be closer to them. So that's why.
So you all have known each other for how many years?
62.
Long time. Well, close to 60 years, Lorraine and I've known some of the other members that long too.
I bring flowers to you a lot. That's one of the things that we do, is that I like to make sure that your house is full of flowers.
Yeah.
And so when the flowers are there, how does that make you feel?
I love to look at them. I love to go up and smell them. There isn't always a lot of fragrance there, but they just make you feel so good inside, especially when you bring gardenias to me.
So you used to buy gardenias at the dime store. Can you tell me about that?
Well, when I was a little girl and I'd go downtown, they always had gardenias on Saturdays, and they were 39 cents. And I always bought one and put it in a little round bowl, and I would enjoy it all week. And I don't know why, it's just something I always loved.
What's your first memory of flowers?
I guess my biggest memory was when I got married, and it was a big bouquet of carnations, which was one of my favorite flowers.
Tell me about the container you brought today.
Well, this was my mother's container, and I can still see it sitting on the dining room table, filled with lilacs in the spring. And that's my first memory of this basket, actually.
Okay, so we got pretty little daisies on the side of the container. So I wanted to use these because they match the same. They look exactly the same. These guys came all the way from Ecuador. Since those came from South America, we'll use, these are California roses, but the name of the rose is Brazil. But it's a real warm golden yellow. It is a smaller size rose, absolutely. So then we'll use a few snapdragons. I like snapdragons too, because they've got a great little fragrance too. Here we go. You're welcome.
It's beautiful.
So, it's not just my mother-in-law, it's also my mother-in-law's best friend, Lorraine, and they're the dynamic duo. We even travel with them sometimes, and what a hoot that is. It's easier for me to introduce them as the moms. So Lorraine's kind of my other mom, and I loved interviewing her that day. I think it's so cool because she tied right into the flowers and told me about the great things that she used to do as a kid, looking for flowers in a forest. Who would ever think about that? Well, Lorraine sure did, and she sure likes her roses too. What's your first memory of flowers?
I know it. The first memory of you when we were in grade school, and we would go out in the woods and look for flowers early in the spring. And I'm somebody else must have done that too, because that's what we did. I went to a country school, and we would go out and find flowers, and that would be my first memory, I guess, if you want to say.
Okay. So Lorraine, what's your favorite flower?
In the past, I've had a lot of rose bushes, but I haven't been lately for a few years, been too busy, but because they do take some time. But I think I had about 40 bushes at one time, and I love my roses. Go out every morning and look at them, smell them. I just love roses.
Okay, so what I did was I gathered them all together so that I could create them, because her vase is very tapered. And so what I want to do is I want to create a little hand bouquet that's actually going to go down inside there. So we're going to use, this is a statice, actually a limonium type statice that grows in this great yellow color. And it's perfect to go in between here because it's kind of nice and light and airy. I'm just removing stuff that's going to fall below the water line. So then just a couple of little pushes and pulls here kind of drops things into place where we want them. There we go. Here, we'll exchange your coffee pot. Many of us have memories that are tucked away in a cupboard just like this. And we don't need a sorority meeting or a party to get them out and fill them with flowers. So today, let's make a project in a memory-filled container. This was a container I used for my father-in-law's tribute service. It's great because it's purple and it's powerful, and it reminds me of him. We'll put some foam in it. Use half a block. Bevel the edges. And tape it in place. I like to use clear tape because it secures everything in place and it doesn't show. Got a great selection of flowers today. I chose yellow and purple. I like the fact that they're exciting. They're opposite on the color wheel, and it's going to make sure that the arrangement is exciting too. I have the opportunity to use a lot of cool flowers, but you can pick out things that you like. And it's the things that you like and the things that spur memories that make the arrangement special. This tulip tree, I had never seen this before. And I think it's pretty amazing. So having that stick up out of the top, and the flowers, they look like passion flowers. Use some stock blossoms. I'm going to group these together because it creates impact. I'm going to take my tea leaf, and I've cut this end. I'm just going to stick that right through the leaf into the foam. It forms a nice loop. It's a great little trick that you can use too. These iris, look at how they've got the yellow and the purple together. We're used to seeing iris in blue or yellow or white. These remind me a little bit of the bearded iris that used to grow in my grandma's backyard. Color's perfect. You'll notice that I'm cutting those flowers short and I'm bringing them into the middle of the arrangement. Because I've got this tall branch at the top, it starts to bring your eye in here, and that means this is going to be important. I've got a special flower I'm going to use right there. These Pincushion Protea, they don't really go with anything else in the arrangement. And I know you hear sometimes that you're supposed to use certain types of flowers together. I think if they're pretty and the colors are right, the flowers go together. And the color brings this together. The texture is what makes this so interesting. And even though this is like a Mediterranean flower that grows in California and these iris might grow in my backyard, I can still use those two together. The thing I always tell people about creating flower arrangements is that you have to please yourself. That's the most important part. There's a therapeutic nature of arranging flowers. That's your time to enjoy that and create what you love. It's kind of like creating a painting, and you're the one that has to be pleased with it. When you get done, there's a sense of pride that comes along with that. That's what flower arranging is all about. You'll notice that I turn my flower arrangement around a lot when I'm working on it. This is going to be seen from all sides, so I don't want there to be a back. I want there to be something interesting whenever someone's looking at it from any direction. I love using spray roses because it's great. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 roses on one stem. I can use those together, or I can split them apart. So one little blossom might get tucked down in there, real close. And the other ones might come up over the top, kind of shielding it the way you might see them grow in the garden. Ranunculus remind me of the garden too, because they look like something that would be growing out there. So I'm just gonna intersperse those between other flowers. Look at this. The head's heavy, so it kind of brings it down. That's nature in play completely, making that wonderful flower so big that it might just fall off to the side. Now our arrangement's almost done, but I want to add 2 special flowers to it that are really going to make it meaningful to me. These other flowers have meaning, but I wanted to add some very specific things. Lilacs. I actually have these growing in my yard. They call them a grandmother's lilac bush. They smell like my grandmother's lilac bush. When I was a little kid, I used to play out in the yard, and these are around there, and smelling that takes me back to the memories of being a kid and swinging on the swing set. Lilacs are fleeting too. You know, they're only around for a short period of time. It's usually spring. It means that winter's over, summer's coming. And that smell is really wonderful. I'm also going to come in and tuck one deep down inside so that it's in between the other flowers. Yellow peonies. It's something that you don't see every day. I think they just cause so much excitement. We're used to seeing peonies in all sorts of different colors, but that yellow and the pollen in that center, that's the flower that goes right in the center of our bouquet. I've got a bud over here. Finish up by filling in a couple spots with some scented geranium. Just gonna tuck these in a couple places. So there we go, an arrangement that's like a section of the garden of my life. The lilacs from when I was a kid, the stock blossoms from my travels to California, those beautiful yellow peonies for my friend Barbara. Now my container's off the shelf. It's filled with flowers that are meaningful to me, and the container itself is alive. I never really realized all the good that was coming out of this event. It was good for them and good for me too. They get so happy when they get those arrangements. And I love the fact that when I'm looking in their faces, I'm making them happy. Everybody wins in that circumstance. There's research that tells us that people who are seniors that are surrounded by flowers actually feel less depression. It's awesome for them. They have an opportunity for me to share flowers, and then it makes them happier. You know, you can create your own opportunities. This little event has created a huge opportunity for me. It's allowed me to touch these people's lives with flowers, and that's what it's all about. My flowers in their hands. It's a winning combination. The fascinating thing about this entire opportunity was that it reached far beyond the actual event. I feel better when I'm going to see them, and I love giving them flowers. When I look in their faces, I know it makes their day brighter. Research tells us that in the presence of flowers, many seniors have happier thoughts, and it can actually reduce depression. The other thing is that they'll enlarge their circles of friends, which means they might be more interactive at church or with healthcare professionals or even in their neighborhood. The study also tells us that having flowers around helps improve memory. So you see, it's not just the flowers, it's not just the ladies, it's not just me. It's about those three things coming together to create a wonderful event that has benefits for everyone. My making flowers that day does a whole lot of things for a whole lot of people. Maybe I've inspired you to get out a container and dust it off and fill it with flowers. Happier people live longer, healthier lives. When we get the containers off the shelf and blow off the dust and fill them with flowers, we do so much more.